Hi, everybody. We're coming back at you with another exciting project today, and I want to thank you for joining me on this channel here at SilverSilk and More. This one's a project that I've been dying to kind of turn into a formalized tutorial for a while now. I've shown it previously at other live virtual events, and I think it was just time. It was just time to put it into a project. And what a fun design it is to make. It's so easy to put together. I think it demonstrates the use of um, beading wire done in such a clever way, and you can really mix and match the colors, as I'm going to demonstrate with everything here in a bit. And it just works up so beautifully. And it's a really instant gift project idea too, by the way. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is the Cloverleaf pendant, and we're going to be using check glass beads. We're going to be using a little bit of soft flex wire and some crimps, and we're gonna assemble this beautiful, quick little star-shaped or cloverleaf shaped pendant, however you want to interpret it. I love all the different color combinations I've come up with at this point. This project was sort of reinterpreted and even boosted forward, in my opinion, from Danielle Wicks, and who sort of took on using two different dual colors of beading wire. And I just thought that this was a phenomenal combination. And she strung it on the waterfall or Meridian Sea Capture Pearlesque chain, and I just thought this was pretty fabulous. So I'm gonna drop down to my board, what I've got working here, and some materials that I want to go over with you guys. Tools are not something that I'm going to cover because that is a separate video that I've included in the video description. You can click on the link and find an entire video just dedicated to the tools that I use. And so I'm just going to go ahead and go straight into my supplies, which is the 18-inch capture chain, or in this case, I'm using pearlesque chain, which really just means that it is a capture chain, but it's got another layer of knitted goodness on it. So the first layer is a ball chain core. Let me try and give you guys what the end looks like here. It's a tiny little 2 millimeter ball chain core that has a rainbow tinsel that's been knitted over it first. In this case, it's sort of a blue rainbow tinsel. And then knitted over both of those things is the wire that's as thin as human hair. And what a combination this is. You guys can get real up close and personal with it here on camera, and I can just you can imagine how many sparkles are in this. But what a beautiful chain to pair with the check glass that we're going to be using today. This comes as a 3-foot spool, meaning that you'll have enough to complete your necklace, which is recommended at 18 inches, but you could certainly adjust accordingly to your necklace preference size, or just, depending on if you're wanting to give it away or sell it later, you can adjust to that as well. And then you have plenty left over for a bracelet if you want to make a couple to kind of pair with it. I always do love a good little set that goes together. So you'll need all of that. You'll need a couple of single strand end caps. Here I'm working with dark rhodium. It has my SilverSilk stamp right on top. And the metal is a brass inner metal that's been layered, or plated rather, with 5 layers of plating on it. So you are getting an insanely high gloss polish, and it is hypoallergenic. And you will also, let's see, I always miss the third point. That I can't remember for the life of me. These findings are incredible, though, just based on their quality. Now I'm really trying to think what that was. It was it was on the tip of my tongue, and I completely just blanked. My findings come in 6 different colors, and they're just absolutely stunning. I'm sure that point will come to me later, and then I will interrupt this entire video and say, I remember what my metal findings did. Here's the lobster claw, by the way. That's later down in the menu, and you'll need a couple of jump rings as well. All right, and oh, by the way, these have individual little teeth inside of it that grasp onto the ball chain. So they're very easy to use. And all you do is you just insert your wire right into it, and then you just clamp down on your pliers, and those little teeth will catch on the ball chain core of the knitted wire. But I've also realized that they work really well with the leather cord as well as the pipe chain that I carry. There's something about those little teeth that work well with grasping those different materials or whatever's inside of it. So, yeah, these are recommended for that project. Again, this is the dark rhodium colorway. And I've got matching crimps as well, which is at the very end of the list. This is from Softlex Company. I love their crimps. They're seamless. They have a thick wall, and their dark gunmetal color just matches so perfectly. Oh, I remember what my point was. These, as well as the crimps, are tarnish resistant. That's what it was. And it's funny that I remembered Softflex wire crimps being the same as my very own SilverSilk crimps. But I think if you're really wanting to adjust your quality as you have grown in your jewelry making experience and know a lot more than probably what you did before, then it's really important, as you know, to invest in good materials that are going to last a long, long time. So, brass versus pewter is just a stronger metal. It's going to be a lot more durable over time. And because they are tarnish resistant, if stored properly, they are going to keep their shine and polish and beautiful color throughout their entire life. Let's see. We have some check glass. Oh my gosh, I wanted to show you guys this. Look at that. Is that not the most gorgeous color you have ever seen? It is a mix between hot pink and cool blue. And that purple in between just makes me squeal my best life, I guess, for my best life. And I am just in love. The facets really show this color off too. It's just phenomenal. So I've got a really cool mix here, and you'll need this, which is, by the way, 8 millimeter in size. They've got a pretty good size hole. It's going to allow for multiple beading wires to go through. You'll also need some complementary size 4 millimeter check glass beads. These don't have multiple wires going through, and having a solid color is just going to help kind of make it disappear into the design. And quite frankly, when you're competing with a color like that, anything's going to disappear. So just have a few out to the side, though. You'll need those for spacers. Let's talk about our beading wire, because I have got dark blue lapis and pink tourmaline, which match oh so perfectly with our check glass beads. This is where you can get real crafty and really hone in on your color scheme and just use all those beautiful colors of Softflex wire with your design. And I already went ahead and pre-cut my links there to be 14 inches. So at this point, I'm basically ready to go. Let's flip it to the next illustration, which is step 1. Cut 2 14-inch links of wire, this beading wire here, and string 3 of the 8 millimeter size beads onto the center of the wires. So I'm going to gather both of these up, and I'm just going to reach over here and grab a few of these check glass beads, and I'm just going to go ahead and string those right through onto the wire as the illustration is telling us to do. All right, just drop those down all the way, and now you've got those nice and centered. All right, step 2, we're going to pass the ends of one of the colors of beading wire through the opposite side of an 8 millimeter check fire polish, which really means that you're going to pick out what your color A and your color B is going to be. For me, color A is going to be this pink tourmaline, and I'm just going to separate it out from color B, which is the blue lapis. And I'm going to grab another check glass bead, and I'm going to drop it down onto the pink tourmaline, or color A in this case, wire. Take your end and pass it from the opposite side through the same check glass bead, just like that. So essentially these wires crisscross each other. And what we're going to do is tighten that down. Keep it nice and centered if you can. Beautiful. It's already looking gorgeous. Amazing. I could just call this finished. Actually, I'm not going to. We've got a lot more. We've got a lot more to assemble, but it gets fun. Like there's so much more to this design as we sort of progress forward. But aren't those colors just amazing? I'm going to pop these guys up front so that we can easily string on. And I'm going to also center my wire because sometimes it can get a little out of hand as we stitch through this, and I want to make sure that we are as equal as possible. Okay, to each of those strands, I'm going to string on a 4mm bead. So there's one, and there's two. Easy peasy. There we go. All right. String one 8mm fire polish bead onto both colors of beading wire on each side, and then tighten. So what I'm going to do is grab my color A and my color B on the right-hand side and gather those up. I'm going to grab a check glass bead, and I'm going to string that right onto both beading wires at once. Okay, I'm just going to pull this a little tighter so that it stands up. And I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Take both of the wires on the left, gather them together, grab a check glass bead, and whoops, string that right through that hole. Okay. And go ahead and tighten everything. The easiest way is just to grab color A, which kind of runs through everything at this point, and just tighten it up. You can see those little bits of color in between. It's just super cool. Okay. Now, working with color A, which in our case is the pink tourmaline, I'm going to string on each side 3 size 8mm beads and continue through the step 4 bead. So that'll be this guy right here. What that means is that I'm going to grab 3 of the check glass beads. 1, 2, 3. Drop those down. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to carefully string through the bead that I had both wires go through earlier. And I'm just going to string right through that bead. And I'm going to tighten everything up as I go along here. But you can see as I tighten this, how it's already stacking up together. Okay, this one's a little bit lopsided. So what we're going to do is just pull on that to get that nice and refocus it essentially. And now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side as I just did on my right-hand side. So let's do 1, 2, 3. Drop those down. I like to pick it up and then go through the check glass bead. Just find a nice little space here at the top, and when you find it, you can pull accordingly and then just continue to tighten and pull. And everything kind of stays in place quite magically, actually. It's nice when stuff doesn't shift around. Now, this in itself would make an interesting pendant, don't you guys think? Like, we could just kind of end it here and you have this really cool, like, 3-piece little pendant set. So many, many possibilities. There's no way to go wrong on this project. We are just going to continue on with our original design and string on some 4mm. This will be the last of the 4mm. As I mentioned to you guys earlier, like, they disappear into the design so you don't really see it, but they are necessary for keeping your spacing correct between each of these rows. So just keep that in mind. They must be 4mm or half size of the beads that you're using in order to really pull this off successfully. Okay, the next step is to add on our check glass onto both strands. So let's do that. We'll do one on this side, drop that down, get it nice and tight. Oh, wait a minute. I need a backup. Whoopsie, oopsie, whoopsie. Okay. Just kidding. We will keep these on here, but what we need to do is crisscross our color A wires into a check glass. I knew I was missing a step in between here. So let's do that real quick. Go ahead and pick up a size 8 check glass, crisscross your wires, pull it right through, and drop these beads into that in-between space. And then go back and string both wires into a check glass bead. That step is very important for making this a successful design. Okay, and again, don't forget to tighten up as you go along here. So I'm going to do one side, and then I'm going to do the other. Perfection. Just go ahead and tighten everything. We'll have a pass that one last bead before we really go back through and kind of comb this with a fine-tooth comb. But your last check glass bead, you're going to do the same thing. String it on your color A, crisscross it, and pull, which completes your pendant. And then you can kind of go back and play with it accordingly to where it's going to fall into the right spots and that everything is looking nice and cloverleaf pendanty, just like this. So this puts us, okay, we did step 7. This puts us at step, we did step 8, which is actually after 7. And I've lost my spot here real quick. 7, 8, 9. Okay. And at this point, what we're going to do is take both of our color A and color B once again, and we are going to string on a crimp. And we're going to pass both wires through a crimp on each side. So I'm going to do that here at the same time. After that, we will be making a loop with color B. Okay, so here is what it looks like up close. All those interconnected wires makes it look so cool, almost like a circuit board. Okay. And I kind of just tightened it up here on the ends, but I'm going to grab my color B and string it through that crimp, back through that crimp rather, here at the end. And I want to leave a loop that's going to be big enough for my capture chain or burlesque chain to go through and have some freedom to move around. I think this looks pretty good. It's probably about a 5mm size loop, which works for me. And I'm going to use a pair of magical crimpers, but feel free to crimp with just a regular pair of crimpers too, if that's easier. I want my crimp to look decorative, and so if I pull this off correctly, it should look like a little ravioli shape. This only has the one divot to work with, and it's round. And so the idea here is just to sort of smash it around until it becomes a spacer. Just like that. Neat, isn't it? So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, and then we'll just trim up everything together all at once. And also keep in mind, before you crimp this last one, to make sure that it fits, not fits, but necessarily, but measures the same as the loop that you created earlier. And so I'll just fit this right through. There we go. And I just want to make it nice and even with that other loop. So that looks pretty good. Kind of happy with that. And I'm going to put it into my magical crimpers, give it a good squeeze, turn it on its side, squeeze it around till it becomes a small little spacer, just like that. And at this point, I'm ready to go ahead and cut everything off. So I'm going to grab my cutters and just begin clipping all of these wires away. Be sure not to cut the wrong one, though. I've done that before and quite tragic once you get around to almost completing a design and then having to go back and redo it because you have accidentally not did yourself a favor and cut the wrong thing. In this case, I think we can say it's safe to say that the pendant and I have won today. So I'm going to just take these off to the side. I'm going to grab my waterfall capture chain, string it through. And at this point, you can measure, cut, whatever you want to do. Your necklace. I think I'm going to make this probably about, maybe a 16-inch necklace. So I'm going to half this, perhaps 18. I'm going to do 18 inches. Okay, do 18 inches. And I'm going to grab my findings now and put all this stuff together. So let's grab our single strand end caps. Go ahead and put your chain all the way in. Grab a pair of wide nose pliers. Give it a good squeeze. You can actually feel that chain getting secure inside of the end cap. Whenever you do this, make sure you have your logo side facing up for both ends. Whoops. That way it's consistent and one thing doesn't have it on the opposite side as the other. I like consistency in my design. I'm able to grasp this. There we go. It makes it look like it's intentional with purpose and higher end. Okay, once you've crimped it, and this has so much room to move around. I love that. I'm going to grab my findings. Okay, just grab yourself a jump ring, string it through. I'm going to put it into my lobster claw, and then same thing for the other side. Okay, I love the magical crimpers for many reasons, but the fact that I can use them as chain nose pliers is pretty awesome. All right, go ahead and close that up. And I've got my binding all attached, which looks great. And then I've got my pendant all finished. Look at that. Cloverleaf pendant. It's double-sided, so it doesn't matter if it flips around on the other side or not. And made with those two colors of soft flex wire. I love how the blue kind of blends in with my chain. That way it's not like super distracting either. But I am just in love with this piece. So let me flip over to the picture again and let me know what you guys think of this project in the comments below as you create it, or as you have viewed the video and decided, hey, this channel is pretty awesome. I think I want to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Tell your friends about it over in your creative community. You can also join the SilverSilk Silkies Facebook group. And be sure to visit silversilkonline.com, pointing to the wrong direction. And you might want to hop over to the SilverSilk videos tutorial. For each of the videos that we do for our YouTube channel, we also create a supplementary guide that's written directions with pictures so that everything that you saw that were diagrams on my right-hand side, on your right-hand side, were included in the article write-up in that video tutorials link that's over on silversilkonline.com. And we're all different learners. I totally get it. I actually don't prefer to read. I like videos, and I also like diagrams. So I made sure to include plenty of those into each of those different projects that Danielle and I have been coming up with. And so you guys are covered all the way. You'll have written, you'll have video, and you'll have pictures, and you'll have what I've been saying on camera as we've been making these videos. And it gets me excited to have all these different opportunities to educate you guys on SilverSilk and share this incredible passion for this project and product with you guys. With that, I believe that's my tutorial for today, but we've got plenty more coming up that I hope you'll join me for. And again, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe. And I will just check you guys out at the next tutorial. Peace. Bye.